Hello everybody and welcome back. So today's video is going to be a review video on my brand new rod and reel that I got, so let's get into it. So as you guys can see here, this is the rod and reel. So first thing to talk about the reel. So the reel that I got here is the new Shimano SLX DC bait casting reel. So let's talk about some specs with the reel. So some specs with this reel is that it's a great bass and pike reel. That's what many people use for this. It has 11-pound drag, which is perfect for if you want to get a good hook set on a bass and pike. You don't really need that much, unless you're musky fishing, then you would need a little bit more. But this reel is not made for musky, it's made for bass. And it has a 8:2 gear ratio. So what that means is a normal standard spinning reel reels 8:3, 8:4 every time you turn, yards of line in. Now it is good. The good thing about that is it gets in your line faster. But if you really want to haul in a bass and you got a trophy bass on the end of your line, you want as much line to come in as possible. So this is designed to have 8.2. You can get the 7.2 one, but I got the 8.2 one. So it brings in 8.2 yards of line in every turn. So one full turn, and it brings in 8.2 yards, which is really good. I never had a reel that brought in that much, but so I spooled this reel up with 30-pound Power Pro braid. Now the reason for that is because you need that extra pound line when you're bass fishing. So if you're fishing topwater, you do need even a heavier line, like a 40 to 50 pound, but I think 30 is plenty because I'm not going to be doing that much topwater with it. And it's also good for pike and stuff because their teeth will cut right through mono, so that's why I got the braid. And you could also put a leader if that's a really big problem. But if you're fishing heavy weed and stuff, you really want to get your lure right through the weeds without, breaking off and losing your lures. Which, I mean, 30 pound is still a little bit light, but it should be good for now. So how to set a tension knob with this reel. Now you guys can see here, this is called the tension knob. Now I know many of you guys know that fish with bait casters know this, but I just got started into it and I learned how to do it. So for people that want to get into it, to start fishing with this, I'll tell you how to do it. So this goes left to right, and when you tighten it this way, it gets tighter, as you guys know, and the spool locks up. So it's not like, as you can see, even if you free spool it, it's pretty tight. Now if you loosen it, it goes super loose, and you guys see there I almost got a bird's nest. So one thing you want to do with your tension knob is, if you guys can see here, the spool, how that doesn't move, that means it's perfectly tightened. So if you loosen a little bit more, you do get farther distance, but the spool starts to move. Like even if you loosen a little bit, I don't know if you guys can see, it's probably not good to see through the GoPro, but if you loosen it, the line will get more bird's nest. It will wrap around that blue, I don't know if you can see the blue thing on the spool, and it will cause serious damage to the inside of the reel. So that's why you want to have your thing just perfect so your spool doesn't move, and mine's a little bit moving here, so we're going to tighten it a little bit. And that should be good. So another way to check it is if you're casting and your lure hits the ground and it's still moving, that means your tension on your spool is too light. You gotta tighten it a little bit more. So one cool thing that this reel has is a braking system built into it. So the SLX DC has a gasket inside this little plastic thing. I don't know if you guys can see, it says open and close. I'm not gonna really open it because I'm not really good at putting it back. But there's a little dial here, and it has numbers 1 to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what those numbers mean is a braking system. It's a built-in one with the microchip. So if you're using number 4 and you're new to casting a bait caster, if you never casted one before, that's great because this allows you, as soon as the lure hits the water, it stops the spool, so you don't get any tangles whatsoever. But it is also good if you're fishing high winds and stuff, and you're casting your lure, but more line is coming out than the lure. That's going to be a problem because you're going to get a lot of tangles here once you get in the reel. So that's why they have this special setting there. Now setting number 3 is a bit different. It's for only fluorocarbon line. Now if you're fishing fluorocarbon line, a lot of people do, 17 pounds is plenty. It's just made specifically for fluorocarbon line, sorry guys, because I think of its stretchiness, it doesn't have has a different type of stretch. It has no stretch on that line, so I think that's what that's made for. Correct me if I'm wrong. And number 2 is the standard one that everyone uses. Number 2 is for mono and braid. Now the reason people use mono and braid is because mono is a common line, but it is thicker, so you can't get as much line capacity on this reel. And braid is super thin, but it's stronger. So they made this so it's an average. You could even throw a fluorocarbon on this too, but I think it's recommended to use a number 3 instead of number 2 because people had some problems with that. But yeah, that's what that means. So it's a little bit of a braking system on 3 and 2. And number 1 is for every line with no braking system. So if you really want to cast far and you guys are super good at casting traditional reels, because I know traditional reels don't have none of this, and that's the no braking system at all. So the spool will spin no problem, like if you even let go, like super light. So that's if you guys are really good at casting. I haven't even cast this thing before, so I can't say anything about it. So I'm just gonna leave it on setting 2, and let's talk about the rod. So we just seen the reel, now I'm gonna talk about the rod. The rod I have here is the St. Croix Wild River, and it is an 8.6 medium heavy powered fast action. It's able to throw 3/8 to 1 ounce of weight on your line, which is plenty if you're fishing, you know, bass and pike, because you're not really throwing heavy duty stuff like you are for pike, because pike you can get those big rubbers and stuff. So that's when you need a thicker rod and better rod. But this rod is good for anything, to be honest with you. It's good for pike, it's good for bass. You could even catch salmon if you really wanted to, pickerel, all that good stuff you could catch on this rod, because it's an 8.6, so it's not really that long and it's not really short. So you do get that casting distance and you do get that portableness. Now, one thing I like about this rod is that the long cork handle. It is kind of a river rod, but it's really good if you're fighting, you know, a really hard fish. You just throw it on here, hold the reel, no problem. Compared to other bass rods, some bass rods have just that much, which is a little bit, you just got to use your wrist more, but that's personal opinion if you guys like that or not. Now this rod isn't a 1-piece. I was hoping it would be, because 1-pieces are stronger, but it is good that it's a two-piece because it's compact and portable, so you can bring it even in your small Toyota Corolla if you need to. You just throw it down and you're good to go. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on my new rod and reel. If you stay tuned for the next video that's coming up, I'm going to be going to the local pond and trying to cast this. Now I heard it's kind of awkward to cast because you're not really used to going like this and stuff, but I'm going to get the hang of it. Everyone learns, so just got to take some time with it. But anyways guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.